It will not be a very short report, I'm afraid. Uh, um, Dear brothers and sisters, let me a little bit introduce you to our context first, so that you would understand better the environment we are serving in, and I can share more stories. Can we have next slide? This year, the 2021 year was very hard for us, not mostly because of COVID situation, but because of political situation. We had the same, and still have, the same president since 1994, and last year when we had our presidential elections, people of Belarus had huge hopes that finally there will be changes and we will have democratic authorities. But it didn't happen, and we had peaceful demonstrations all around the country, and the number of people who went out in the streets were the highest that for the last at least 20 years. Unfortunately, all peaceful demonstrations were cruelly suppressed. People got beaten, imprisoned, some died. My church is quite small. We are an underground church of 67 members, and 13 of 67 were also arrested and imprisoned. What else was happening? That a year after, life is not better. Still, they happening down raids, and they also track, after even a year, they track people through social medias who last year took part in peaceful demonstrations. People get unfair dismissed, and there are new laws being taken about public events. And we were told that up to 100,000 Belarusians left the country during this year. And who are these people? They are lawyers, businessmen, lecturers. So the intellectuals and good specialists are leaving the country. People have lost hope for a bright future. They give up, and every week we hear more and more people who are leaving. And it's only when we turn our faces to God's light, we turn our backs to the darkness around. And it's only when we share gospel with our students and read Bible with them in small groups, one-on-one, it's when we remind ourselves again and again who can heal the heartbroken and comfort all who mourn. So let me share with you some encouraging stories from our ministry, and I will be encouraged myself. I will start with our winter forum that happened this year. So interestingly, that all our events are offline. And we got these unique opportunities this year to be together when most of the countries were not able to. So I believe that our International Student Forum is like a 5 days mission week, is the only place in Belarus, a very special platform where participants from Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, atheist, Catholic, and Christian background from 17 different countries can meet safely and live together for 5 days. It's a very unique opportunity for us Christians to share gospel with internationals through personal conversations, small groups, and big talks. This year we chose character of Moses in order for our Muslim friends to show them for a greater person, Jesus, and only in Jesus we can find our identity. We get used to unwelcome guests, and the forum was not an exception. During 3 days, we were having border guard officers to come and check on us. They suspected us of helping international students to illegal crossing national borders with the European Union. It took away our peace for 3 days, and we were worried that we would have to cancel the forum. But praise God, nothing happened. We were able to finish it, and once again we realized reality of spiritual battle behind and importance of prayer back up. One of the stories from this forum I would like to share next. This girl her name is Rania. These are all our participants. You can see these lovely faces, very joyful faces. And this is Rania. She is a Maldivian student, and she is a very devoted Muslim. She comes to every forum for the last 4 years. She takes part in Uncover Bible studies in her city every week, and she asks better questions than many Christian students ask. Even this year, she is so involved with a local Christian group that she was administrator for the mission week in her city, though being formally Muslim. A little bit more about her. She is struggling a lot now in her search for truth. She often cries at night because she fears that a God she has known all her life is not the real God is. It's not who the real God is. And if she fears it, then she has already partially come to an understanding that this is true. She is looking for intellectual evidence in order to choose the right religion. Her mom is the first woman in Maldives to teach Quran. She is coming from a very respected and intelligent family. If a Maldivian leaves Islam, he or she by default loses citizenship. So you can see how costly her conversion will be for her and for the family. When I and her read and discussed Psalm 139 together, after that, she first ever prayed out loud, quoting verses of the psalm. So she was praying, "Please, God, outshine my darkness, for darkness is a light for you. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts, and lead me in the way everlasting." What a God-pleasing prayer. Please pray with us so that she would have a personal encounter with Jesus. Yes, our spring mission weeks, we had 4 mission weeks in 4 cities, and they were very unique in many senses. First, we were also worried because of political situation and unwelcome guests and this new law about public events, and it was public. It was a miracle that we were safe, and yes, celebrate with us because we had 25 mission weeks now over 5 years, and it's really a miracle for Belarus, for our context. And let me share with you some interesting facts, observations. And one of them, attention please, this very interesting wooden old-fashioned house, it used to be a former owned by gypsies, and that a church in Gomel bought out for holding services. So because they chose this church, cottage to hold a mission week in Gomel. And it turned out that it was not an obstacle for 100 students to come to the mission weeks there. Another interesting story from Brest, they were pictures drawn by local artists and even by some team members during the mission week on the topic of pain. It's my pain, why doesn't God care? Another interesting fact that, for example, in Gomel, it was unique because the audience was 50% Belarusians and 50 internationals. And what was special for the whole country, that it was the first time for the last 5 years when we didn't have any international evangelist or academic coming to Belarus. We had huge plans, but all got cancelled. So we had to find Belarusian speakers, but we didn't have one. We only had one, Taras, and most of you know him. So it was a risk for this year. And the first experience for our Belarusian speakers. And yes, it was not every time the best gospel presentation, but now we know what we do and what we won't do next year. Our advantage is that now we have 5 local speakers for future mission weeks. Also, we now every month we have these events in the format of mission week, and where our local Belarusian potential speakers can practice for future missions. And the next one is actually happening tomorrow in Minsk. Another interesting fact that we had book crossing, and so bring one book and take one, and many took Bibles, praise God. Another, what we were creative about, the students wouldn't late for events, then we would have board games and coffee an hour before the event. So then they will be there in time when we started. Our non-Christian student who first came to the Mission Week brought her math lecturer to a really Christian event. And the lecturer was very engaged and open. Also what was special, that we had 120 questions from students during 4 days at our Mission Week in Minsk. You can see some of the questions on the screen. This is the story of our student leader in Minsk. She said, I invited 17 non-Christian students for the Mission Week and just one eventually did come. I didn't even count on her. But she came all 4 nights and even went for a day to a Mission Week in a different city with me. Please pray for Sofa to continue her journey to Christ. After Mission Weeks, we had all in 4 cities, we had Uncover follow-up Bible studies, and you can see next slide, you can see the pictures from different cities and our Bible studies. And we read Uncover Luke this year, and what was interesting when in the end, at our final picnic, we asked students what was the most interesting story for them, that they said that the overall theme that united everything they shared was that Jesus brought order and peace into chaos and distress. And I think it's very remarkable in terms of what is going on in the world and in Belarus. And our summer public evangelistic event was our camp. I wanted also to share about Belarusian metamorphosis, if it's right pronouncing. It's very, so this is Rania that I told previously about, a Muslim Maldivian student presenting student ministry in a Belarusian church, being interpreted by a Nigerian student into Russian language. So it's interesting, like how Belarus is turned out like a very special place for all these internationals coming from the closest countries, from Middle East, Central Asia, and Africa. We don't have students from the West, but because of our political situation and our president is being friend with the East, we get all these interesting countries coming, and we have unique opportunities. We also had a summer camp. Was very also special. We have 4 evangelistic talks on creation, fall, redemption, and new creation. We had 107 participants during 5 days. What was special, that first time ever we had Mark drama. It was so remarkable, and students loved it. So word of God was speaking for itself. Yes, and it followed by 10 small groups during 4 days. And I would like to finish with the story of Maya. Maya was the one student who brought her math lecturer to a Christian event, but she herself was invited by a Christian lecturer from university who used to be our student leader. And so when Maya first came to Mission Week, she was very publicly supportive and very verbal during some of the questions on LGBT topic. And after Mission Week, she got invited to the church and to follow up Bible study. And she kept on coming both to church, then to Uncover Bible studies, and to church home groups even. And she kept on coming even though no one continued to inviting her. Now, in university, she is not afraid to publicly disagree with her philosophy lecturer about historical Jesus. So she is now on the presenting Christian worldview, So also, several days ago, she brought a Christian book home, and her father decided to read it in order to debate with Maya. He is Catholic, and he is strongly against Protestants. Last week, she also bought this T-shirt that, I don't know if you can see it, made in his image on the T-shirt. Made in his image. And it costed 3 times more than ordinary T-shirt. That not every Christian student would be willing to pay this price for the T-shirt, but Maya bought it. And so I believe it means something. And she hasn't become a Christian yet, but she's on the way, and also please pray for her. These are some encouraging stories from our public events that have happened in Belarus. We have plans and hopes for spring mission weeks in more cities, hopefully, and maybe some of you, after hearing me, would be willing to come and have a taste of Belarus. I think this is it for now. Mm-hmm.